the series' penultimate episode and part one of a two-part finale, Fisher Quest largely follows Boimler's transporter clone William, who is the captain of a Section 31 ship crewed by a bunch of interdimensional castaways. These include a version of T'Pol, who was married to Trip Tucker for 63 years, a version of Curzon Dax, who never passed his symbiont on to Jadzia, a version of Elim Garak, who is married to a hologram of Julian Bashir, and most notably, various counterparts of Ensign Harry Kim. Fisher Quest is probably the biggest example of why some people dismiss the entirety of Lower Decks as just fanfiction with a budget. It makes it tougher for me to even defend Season 4, given that the main antagonist of that season is Nick Locarno, who of course was in the TNG episode The First Duty. Even Mariner herself has been accused of being shoved into canon inorganically because of her backstory, growing up on the Enterprise, serving on DS9, knowing Riker and Worf, etc. But that's also the point of her character. She's been around the block. She's seen and done all these things, been to all these places, known all these people, and still found herself demoted to ensign at the beginning of the show. As for Locarno, while his inclusion in Lower Decks is indeed a deep cut, it feels different from Fisher Quest and a lot of the other referential inclusions because there's a more compelling story reason for it. And it's not like the franchise hasn't done this before. One of the most beloved episodes of DS9, Trials and Tribulations, has the Defiant crew going back in time to thwart an assassination attempt against James T. Kirk. Some of the more highly rated episodes of TNG are the ones that include Scotty and Spock. Some people even like Star Trek Generations, which had the TOS and TNG crews in the same film. And one of the greatest science fiction films of all time, The Wrath of Khan, followed up on a character from a random one-off TOS episode, because the people who made The Wrath of Khan thought it was a story worth telling. And of course, one of my favorite arcs in Enterprise, Season 4, features T'Pau, who was also in the original series. So fans do like callbacks, if they're done well. Including Locarno in Season 4 was kind of brilliant. Clearly what happened to him after he was kicked out of Starfleet Academy had consequences. But William Boimler's crew in Fisher Quest doesn't really do it for me. And I know from experience that one of my friends who hasn't necessarily seen all the other Star Trek shows definitely did not get much out of this episode. That matters because these characters' inclusion in this episode obviously impacted the viewing experience of somebody who considers themselves to be a more casual fan.
Like it was different with Armis being there.
Oh yeah. The Kim thing was just so stupid.
Weird. I was just like, why is this important?